our people and the suffering masses of our people. There has to be a covenant made between those of us who have been blessed with knowledge, blessed with wealth, blessed with opportunity, to unite the best of our minds and the best of our pocketbooks to pool our resources to develop a programmatic thrust that will lift us and our people out of the condition that they're in. The last thing I want to say, no matter what we make with each other, we have to be careful of any contract or covenant with those who don't have a word that they keep. Ask the Native Americans about all the treaties that they signed. Ask about 40 acres and a mule. We just celebrated 50 years of Brown versus the Board of Education, but while we were celebrating the victory, they were planning to put us right back under segregation, and here we are again with voting rights bill and accommodation, public accommodation that many suffered to give us that right. Here, Reverend Jackson earlier this morning said in 2007, the voting rights bill could be turned out. So I'm leery about a covenant or a contract with a people who have no word. So I would advise taking the lead from what Reverend Al and Reverend Lowry has said. Let us make the right kind of covenant, and it is a hypothesis that was put before us by God himself. In these words, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal their land. That's the covenant. If y'all don't behave yourself, I ain't gonna get through this. If y'all don't behave yourself, I can't get through this. I know it's tough, ain't it? I know it's tough.
I think even as we talk about faith and grace, we have to keep in mind the art of criticism. That how we learn to lovingly criticize one another. That each one of us up here, every black leader has the potential to be pimped and prostituted by the white mainstream. Across the board. The question is, how do we lovingly stand beside each other when it looks as if we're not being accountable? This is the question. When I look at this great house, this man is a managerial genius, but I know that the people's wealth also built it. He didn't build it by himself. He knows that. When I look at Jake's, I see a spiritual genius, but I also know his people built his house. And so I can still come along as a lay Christian and say to my brother out of love, I'm suspicious of your political courage when it comes to not just eating at the house, the White House, but dealing with policies that's crushing working people and poor people.
What up, family? Get the lights up. Show y'all shit this video, man.
But he needs to know
get the algorithms going.
And for me, in the name of Jesus.
In other words, you stepping in the name of love.
I'm stepping up. I'm not just stepping in the name of love, but I'm looking for a cross. I'm not just looking for wealth. I'm not just looking for flag. I'm looking for blood. I'm looking for struggle. I'm looking for who loves the people enough to sacrifice for it. And this brother has to have some love.
sacrifice
Because
myself
he
for the
don't put
people.
out
You feel me?
25,000 Negroes and I have some love. I know that. I know that. That's a fact. But I want to see more political courage and Jinx and the other folk who have all of these beautiful black people telling the truth about their suffering, not just the spiritual reflection about their souls. We want their souls. We want their bodies. But we also got structures and institutions we got to address. And that's a rich legacy. And if we learn how to lovingly criticize each other, push each other back, and so that's what I love about Mr. Lewis Farrakhan. We sat down and had a 9-hour lunch. I was supposed to have breakfast with your brother for 2 hours. We went 9 hours. You remember that, brother? Sharp in the same way as in Harlem. Why? Because we decided that there's something bigger than us. And that's the suffering of the people. And we're going to keep the focus on that.
Brother Minister.
Yes, sir.
Let me, Brother Minister. Brother Minister, I'm just assuming, just guessing, you probably got something you want to say.
Having listened carefully to all of my wonderful brothers and sisters, I recognize that the thing that is missing is not the genius that is present or the genius that is absent, but the thing that is missing is the unity of us as a people. My beloved brother, Mr. Frazier, articulated some magnificent economic truths that can be realized fully by the unity of us as a people. My sister talked about education and health issues. We cannot any longer depend on a benevolent white person in office to look out for our needs. That responsibility is ours. Now, whether my brother, Bishop Eddie Long, can visit the White House and speak on behalf of us, or whether the Reverend Jackson can visit the White House and speak on behalf of us, or any of us.
Everybody meets, Mr. Everybody meets.
Oh, well, you're on your way though, brother, for sure. When you can assemble us like this, you are a very important man. The few points that I want to make is based on what I heard. My sister with the union, she wants to be at the right table at the right time to talk about the right issues where workers are concerned. Everyone at this table, my dear sister, talked about policy and community.
I ain't a toy. Stop playing with me.
Lowry and Reverend Sharpton brilliantly defined us really the crux of the matter. Here's what I see. Respectfully, Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand. But power won't even concede to a demand if the demand is coming from a weak constituency that looks like they've lost their testicular fortitude. Careful now. Careful. I'm a Baptist preacher too. Listen, the generational gap is serious. When it's written of in Scripture, gathered the people in the wilderness. He spied the promised land. But there were some giants in the promised land. And the people were asked, go in. We're with you. They said, wait a minute, God.
Tear a nigga up.
We would go, but the giants are there.
I wish a nigga would.
They had no faith.
Ooh, I know you coming from behind, bitch.
Take the land from the giants. So what did God say? Okay, you wander in the wilderness till you die out.
Do it in my face. Do it in my face.
And they will inhabit the promised land. Martin Luther King said, I've been to the mountaintop. I have seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get there when we separate from a pharaohic idea of mental slavery. Our children, listen, our children cannot eat at the table of illusion and hypocrisy. Most of us who have access, who have wealth, who have quote unquote positions, we are like mannequins in the shopping mall of democracy. When you go to the shopping mall, you see the mannequin. The mannequin is dressed in what you would like to buy. The mannequin can't talk. The mannequin can't walk. We got black people in power, but they don't have power. We got black people with money. We have black people with money that we think are giants. But in the company of their white counterparts, they are midgets. Now, if we want to get where we want to go,
Let's get it.
we can't focus on the house that has rejected us and our fathers for 400 years. We have to now focus on ourselves. Now follow this, and I'm out of here. I'm continuing. Follow this. President Bush, bless his heart, is worried about weapons of mass destruction. No dark nation should have a weapon of mass destruction. They have a fear. France got it. England got it. I think Germany may have something. South Africa has it. Israel has it. These are some of them, the former colonial masters. They have the right to have it, but don't give it to a darker power. We're worried about China has it.
China Mac
has it. Lord have mercy. Pakistan got it. Korea was the axis of evil. Now Korea said, well, we got it. All of a sudden they fell off the screen. It's now Iran and Iraq. Well, if they are so afraid of weapons of mass destruction, my teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, said, our unity is more powerful than an atomic or hydrogen bomb. That's the one thing we have never tried. We've kneeled in, crawled in, prayed in, lied in, slept in, but still we are out. If you want to get what you want, we gotta start with a contract with us. A contract, a covenant with us. We in leadership make a
with your people that you will never sell them out. We as leaders, listen, we as leaders, so-called, must make a covenant with our people that nothing is more important than the salvation of a people who are now on a death march. While we're singing and dancing and popping our finger and shaking our backside to the world, we are on a death march into ovens, but not the same oven called Auschwitz. But it is a destruction coming to our people through bad health care, no health insurance, HIV, AIDS, drive-by shootings, gang conflict, crack cocaine. We are now become the enemy of ourselves. So we have to make a covenant. And in closing, in my conclusion, oh yes, I'm a Baptist preacher. In my conclusion, in the 37th chapter of Ezekiel, there were some dry bones that were in a valley. And the bones were talking to one another. They were having a conversation about a contract. And as they were having this contract, some of the bones said, our hope is lost. Our bones are dry. We are cut off from our part. There's some that are watching by television, and there's some in this audience that think that we will never come together, that we will never make the right covenant or contract. I say to you, go back and read your
Come around me playing, nigga.
Because when
Come around me
the Son of
playing.
Man was set down in that valley that was full of bones, he spoke to those bones, and the bones shook, and the bones rattled. But they never stood up. So he went back to his sender and he said, Lord, I have spoken to the bones. And nobody has spoken to the bones like black leaders and black preachers. Nobody speaks to the bones like a Reverend Jackson or a T.D. Jakes or Bishop Long or Bishop Patterson or Cornel West. And those of us that preach, Reverend Johnson, the bones always listen. The bones shake. The bones rattle, but they never get up and they never do what they're supposed to do. So one generation dies and another generation is born, and we continue to run the same game. So the Son of Man went back to his sender and said, I've been talking. The bones been shaking, but there's still no life in them. He said, well, don't talk to the bones no more. Prophesy to the winds. Let the winds blow on these bones. See, Bush is a wind. Your rejection at the table is a wind. My brother's going to dinner in the White House and can't come away with what is in the best interest of all our people. Jesse running twice, but still couldn't come away with what our people need. All of this is a farce. If we don't make up our minds today to make this contract, this covenant today, not with us and the Democratic Party, to hell with the Democrats. If they want our vote, let's come as a unified body. Let's gather, Tavis, the scholars. We got them in theology to plan the moral and spiritual development of a people. Bishop Long is not the pastor of this church alone. T.D. Jakes is not the pastor of his church alone. Reverend Jackson and Reverend Sharpton and Reverend Lowry are not the pastors of their constituencies alone. These are the shepherds of an entire people. So what we shepherds, listen, what we shepherds have got to do is come in a room, to hell with the camera. Turn the camera off, put the Bible on the table. That book will transform human life if you teach it right. Stop entertaining your people with religion and start teaching your people, and they will respond and they will be a Listen. Let's gather our educators and sit in a room and plan the educational development of our people beyond the contrived education of the Western educational system. Dewey and Kant, who are the philosophers of Western education, were racists at the core. They deny you equal education because if you ever get equal education, they can't rule you anymore. They are not going to give it to you. You've got to be willing to give it to yourself. Cornel West and Naeem Akbar and all our great educators, we didn't get what is making us through what we read in those school books. We got it from extracurricular activities, from teachers that gave us a bibliography that they don't recognize. We got to do the same for our people. We got to gather our health professionals. Sister talked about education. But tell me this, you going to depend on the undependable to educate us about health issues when keeping us and the American people safe benefits the pharmaceutical industry? Come on now. You are sick and you're dying. Even though you're learning better how to eat, your mouth is in the kitchen of your former slave masters. How then can you be free going to the supermarket and you didn't produce nothing that's on the shelf? If we don't farm, which is the engine of any national life, farming, you ran away from the South, running from farms. Now the enemy got the farms and we got nothing, so we're dependent on somebody else to feed us, clothe us, and us. That's why we're in a terrible health condition. Our ignorance is killing us. Our pastors need to be taught. Go back into the scriptures and teach our people how to eat, to live. Our radio stations, our television stations can't pander to the base human instinct when we become listeners to a degenerate culture pervade on radio and television. Jesus said, as a man thinketh, so is he. Well, as a man feeds your mind, you can't be no more than what you eat mentally. So if we allow BET not to be the purveyor of health to our people, rather than just music and dance and funk, you have to understand we're being destroyed, not because we're black. We're being destroyed because we're ignorant. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. All of us can go where we want to go. But Thomas, I'm with you to make a covenant. Not with them, but a covenant with us. And if we gather the scholars and put them in a room, Let's come up with a 10-year spiritual plan, a 10-year moral development plan, a 10-year educational plan, a 10-year economic plan to gather that $750 billion and put it to use to evolve and develop us. It's all in our hands. That's what he meant when he said, God ain't gonna give you no more, because God has given you everything you need, but you're not using what you got. Thank you for listening.
I sort of feel like the Disney character. I really want to just say, that's all, folks.
Brothers and sisters, on the 14th, 15th, and 16th of October, it's the 10th anniversary of the Million Man March, and we are mobilizing men and women and children across this country to unite, put demands before the government, but put demands on ourselves that we have the responsibility to change our condition. I yield the balance of my time to
Pow! Niggas ain't fucking with me, man. Come try me, nigga. Try me.
This is Khalid Muhammad, former national representative of Mr. Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam. Mr. Muhammad is the man who made so many of the front pages of America's newspapers with a speech at Kane College, which so many people called anti-Semitic and a lot of things. At the very least, racist. You remember the comment? He picked up the Pope's dress, and let's see what's under that dress. Here's what you said about Colin Ferguson, the man who shot a Jamaican black male who shot 6 people on a Long Island train. Mr. Muhammad speaks.
When they set black inmates up in the jails and penitentiaries, and in particular there in Nassau County, and pulled all the black officers out and the black inmates so they could jump on Brother Colin first, because they were mad with him for catching the Long Island train and killing all them white folks. I love Colin first. Official position, so I can say I love
You love a man who randomly killed 6 people on a commuter train?
I love Colin Ferguson just as much as the masses of white Americans love Gerald Schwarzkopf, Gerald Westmoreland, Gerald Patton, General MacArthur, and Eisenhower. America awards her killers, and they get ribbons and stripes and bars. I'm sensitive to the pain and suffering of the loss of life on that train, but I'm one of the rebellious slaves. And so when black people stand up out of pain and suffering and frustration, I understand after 500 years.
you talk about the response of some African Americans to, for example, the book which attempts to prove that Jews involved in the slave trade. If you're happy to let them see that. You talk about when white folks can't defeat you, you said in your speech at Kane, they'll always find some Negro, some boot-licking, butt-licking, buck-dancing, bamboozle, half-baked, half-fried, sissified, punkified, pasteurized, homogenized nigger that they can trot out in front of you. I would ask you, Mr. Muhammad, is Jesse Jackson a boot-licking, homogenized nigger?
To the best of his ability, I believe he tried.
Here you are mocking Jesse Jackson at a speech. I believe this is Howard University. Roll the tape.
I'm an hour has.
Oh, boot-licking, buck-dancing, scratching, shuffling, messy Jesse Jackson. Somebody. I am a somebody. Keep hope alive. I am a somebody. I don't rightly know who the hell I am, but I am somebody.
Yeah.
God, choose death, nigga. Give me
Are
death.
you an entertainer or are you a committed person to black people?
I'm so glad you asked that question. I believe that the liberation
I'm
and
an action
salvation of the black
figure.
nation
I need to be a movie star.
are black people gaining a thorough knowledge of self after our 500 to 6,000 years
This ain't healthy.
where we have lost
Come around me
over
playing, nigga.
600 million. And so I believe that education process must be a process of two steps: inspiration and information. So I seriously give information, but black people are people of rhythm and spirit. So I also give inspiration.
From your speech at Kane College in 1960, Chief Lafleur, the head of the ANC, received a Nobel Peace Prize, you reported to your audience, reminded them, for nonviolent struggle. Just like Mandela just received it with F.W. de Klerk. How could you stand with your oppressor and your enemy and receive the Nobel Prize for nonviolent struggle? You do not support then Nelson Mandela's strategy?
Hummingbird down, hummingbird down.
Let us first of all be very clear here, Phil. Nelson Mandela is my brother.
So
He is a member of the family, and so is Jesse, and Jesse is a very brilliant man. We just want him to return home and stop the abuse by the enemy and the oppressor against his people. Now back to Brother Nelson Mandela. Certainly we can never mention Nelson without mentioning
That's what it is. You hate me, you want to kill me.
But Nelson
Because you can't
Mandela's
control me.
attempt at
I'm trying to
a
kill black
multiracial government
Trying to see
in
what's
South
going on. I'm a
Africa
leader,
after the
motherfucker.
murder of men,
Leave
women,
niggas
children,
follow.
and babies, and the rape of South Africa, a criminal
Man up, nigga.
colony
Man up.
established like Israel there in that part of the world. I cannot go along
be
with
a
one
man,
man,
you wanna
one
be a
vote.
hoe.
Let me say why. If someone
So I'ma
broke
treat
into
you
your
like
home
one,
and
nigga.
stoned you,
You don't want to be a man, you want to be a hoe. So I'm going to treat you like one.
stomped your door
But you ain't going to treat me like I'm stupid. I'm vicious.
everyone in the household.
I'm mentally unstable. You going to push a mentally unstable man?
This is an invader. This is an intruder. This is a murderer. This is a burglar. This is a criminal. So you have no responsibility to share your home with them after they broke in and committed the crimes that they did.
You want, you said about South Africa, we give him, that is to say, white people, 24 hours to get out of town by sundown. That's all. If he won't get out of town by sundown, we'll kill every white that ain't right that's in sight in South Africa. We kill the women, we kill the children, we kill the babies, we kill the blind, we kill the